religious content. Nothing about God there, but it's got a sort of religious quality to it, I suppose, and people think that it is just a religious ritual. It's just important to people in some very, very deep-seated way that we don't fully understand, to mark the significant events in their life: birth, puberty, coming of age, marriage and death. Are all have their symbolism in virtually any culture that you want to quote. It's a human need, the reasons for which we haven't really fully worked out.
I'm Tricia Rogers. I'm the coordinator of the Jubilee Debt Campaign, which works to cancel the unpayable debt of poor countries, and I'm a humanist.
Hi, Jeremy. I was wanting to ask you about this.
The core of my belief is to try and make the world a better place. I mean, I think if you're a humanist, in some ways it's even more important than if you belong to a religion that thinks there's an afterlife, so you've got something to look forward to. I think probably this is all we've got, and I want to do the best with it I can to try and make the world a better place. The Jubilee Debt Campaign is a coalition of agencies like Oxfam, Christian Aid, CAFOD, the big national agencies, and regional groups all over the country of people who believe strongly that the unpayable debt of poor countries should be cancelled. The agencies all got together and launched Make Poverty History. There are partners in countries all over the world, part of this big move to make poverty history. Extreme poverty isn't something we have to live with. Just as we got rid of slavery and we got rid of women being unequal, similarly, it's not right in today's world that anybody should not have access to basic health care, basic educational facilities, clean water, basic rights like that. Over the last 60 years, we have developed a sort of international agreed structure of things like the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the European rights, all these kind of structures, which I think help to root my values. You know, people have worked hard to agree internationally on certain values that we ought to try and achieve for everybody, and I think that gives a very strong basis on which people can live their lives and try and help others, because human rights isn't just about rights for me, it's also about my responsibility to help other people get those rights. So if you think something like the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is important, then that puts on you a responsibility to help other people have access to those rights, which many of them don't at the moment. I suppose the fundamental principle that I try and live by and have tried to help my children live by is the golden rule that most religions share, which is do to others as you would be done by. Try and, look after each other.
The United States of America is one of the most religious countries in the world. People still flock to church on Sundays, and millions describe themselves as being born-again Christians. Politicians, including presidents, seem happy to talk very openly about their faith, but not everybody's impressed. For the country's estimated 30 million atheists, what they see as the growing public display of religion is a betrayal of the principles on which America was founded. This is the main railway line between New York and Chicago. As it winds its way through the small town of Gallitzin in rural Pennsylvania, it passes a building which, in this religious country, is hard for anyone to miss.
Atheist Station is not only a building, it's a group of people, and it's also a symbol for those of us who've come out of the atheist closet, which is a very difficult thing to do. Gallitzin is a small town in central Pennsylvania, and it's a pretty conservative town and full of religious people. When we first hung the atheist station sign, well, the townspeople didn't like it, and so they began shooting out our windows. And that's the reason that our windows are now boarded up. We can't have any sunlight in the building at all. We need to know how many people...
Atheist Station is more than just a place for discussion. Laurie's group also campaigns fiercely against what they see as the growing influence of religion on American life. This is something they believe goes against one of the central principles of the US Constitution, the separation of church and state.
We are in a battle for what this nation was originally set up to be. The freedoms gained there by Jefferson and Madison, especially freedom of religion, are being eroded to the tune of that we must identify everybody in this country with the worship of Jesus. And I for one will not stand for it.
In towns and cities across America, groups like Atheist Station are engaged in bitter political and legal battles.
This is Clearfield, Pennsylvania. It's the county seat. And across the street is something that I would like to show you that is of great interest to the atheists in the area. It is something that we have been fighting for the past 10 years.
They're fighting to remove religious symbols from public buildings.
This is a plaque of the Ten Commandments, and it is clearly a religious monument. It is, to us, a clear violation of the separation of church and state. There is no reference to God in our Constitution, and so we feel that this does not belong here in a public venue. The courthouse is a taxpayer property. Everybody that goes through these doors should be treated equally, and those of us who are atheists are being disrespected by this monument. In this time of growing religiosity, more atheists are coming out and are objecting to this kind of propaganda.
Freedom is what this nation is supposed to be about. We are fighting for the freedom of religion in this nation, the freedom to worship as we see fit or not to worship as we see fit. It is a matter of conscience. That's what Atheist Station is all about.
One of the biggest differences between Britain and the United States of America is the role that religion plays in the lives of its people. In America, a far higher proportion of people go to church and describe themselves as religious. There are thousands of religious TV and radio stations, and the airwaves seem to be dominated by preachers and televangelists. But here too, secular believers are keen to make their voices heard.
Thanks for joining us today. What we try and do is bring the atheist viewpoint to the American public, which doesn't get the atheist viewpoint anywhere on national television. There are no all atheist programs where we have control of the content, we have control of the issues and what gets said. We think this is very important for America.
One of the things that we hear about from atheists is that I just never knew you people existed, you know? And so I think one really important function that this show and our show and atheists, or the American atheists perform, is that first of all, we let other atheists know that we're here.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to The Atheist Viewpoint. My name is Ellen Johnson. I'm the president of American Atheists, and this 30 million Americans out of a population of about 285 million are not religious, but they don't have access to programming that talks about atheism, with two atheists co-hosting the program. But in America, on any given day, if you are channel surfing, you will see tons of religious programming, all by religious people, all about religion, giving the religious viewpoint, and that influences what happens in America. You know, as long as the President of the United States, Dennis, says that we should